Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're starting about 10 minutes late for those of you that look at the meetings. We're waiting for Trustee Lopez. We have a quorum, so we'll start momentarily. We have a busy and exciting agenda, all sorts of stuff going on today. We have our village manager zooming in. We're having Trustee White also zooming in, which is allowable under our new policies. Okay, I'm going to call meeting to order. There he is. I did my tap dancing. Hello, Trustee Lopez.
We have to do the pledge.
Yeah, we'll start that, then we'll do the. All right, folks. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Trustee Fritchie? Trustee White?
Present.
Trustee Lopez?
Present.
Trustee Quesada?
Present.
Mayor Levin?
Present.
Okay, we're going on to our village board resolution. Police Sergeant appointment, Benjamin Irvin. Resolved that the County of Westchester Department of Human Resources has certified to the Village of Austining a list of eligible candidates containing at least 3 names for the contingent permanent appointment position of police sergeant. And whereas Benjamin Irvin is ranked at the opposite list of eligible candidates. Now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining, pursuant to the applicable provisions of civil service law and the unconsolidated laws of New York State, hereby appoints Benjamin Irvin to the position of police sergeant in the Village of Austining Police Department from eligible list number 71-706, effective December 12, 2022, at an annual salary of $127,020. This appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, no more than 52 weeks. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Comments?
Aye.
Opposed?
This is it. It's a big moment. Hello. How are you? Got a big crowd for you here.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't get this kind of a crowd. One of us is doing the right thing. Hello, everybody. Sorry about the delay. A little cozy in here today. I assume you have family?
Yes.
And friends?
Yes.
Wonderful. Always a nice thing. Welcome, everybody. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I make this easier so you can look so that you can do this correctly. I'll say it, you'll repeat. You good for this?
Yes.
Great. I,
I,
name.
Officer Benjamin Irvin.
Now you have the tough one.
Sorry.
There's a camera.
Right there, right there.
Okay,
It's soon.
right there. Got it. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, being duly sworn, state on my honor,
Being duly sworn, state on my honor,
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York,
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York,
and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
I will obey all the ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Austining.
I will obey all the ordinances
Faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant in and for the said Village of Austining, New York, to the best of my ability.
No way.
Oh, see?
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant and in for the said Village of Austining to the best of my ability.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Before we came down, Ben said, he had a couple things he wanted to share with everybody. And he said, but he had to change it a little bit because when we thought we were in the courtroom, there's a much more grand experience in there. It is super weird being this close to everybody with a microphone. Listen, this is, who?
It's
Sorry, so this is always the proudest day when you get to promote somebody, right? And especially when you get to sergeant's promotions, which are probably the biggest hurdle in law enforcement, is that first rank. Once you've got the first one and you get a feel for that, you're competing against less people, you're in that role, but that first one is really the biggest hurdle. Oftentimes you see people come in and they go hard at it in the beginning, it works out or it doesn't, and they move on. But to see somebody that's gone and grinded it out for 19 years and waited for what they decided was the moment. We've been telling Ben he was ready for years. It was until Ben said, I'm ready, where he decided to step up and take this responsibility. And we're so happy for that. And an Austin person, by the definition of the word, somebody that's grown up here and dedicated their whole life, this room full of all of our friends and neighbors and family, right? And when we talk about hiring people, we always say, look, how do we find a perfect cop? And some people say it's somebody with a lot of college degrees, and some people say, no, it's someone with a lot of life experience. And some people say it's someone from here. And some people say, no, you've got to have people outside, so there's not too many connections. And the reality is there is no formula for how you get a good cop, but when you find them, you know. And when Ben comes in the door, he's like a little bit of all those things. He's like a little local, and then he decided to move entirely too far away. I'm still mad about that. He's a guy who's been to school, but also has the life experience. He's a dad, and he's our friend, and he's our neighbor, and he's a person who's dedicated his entire life to getting it right. And what policing needs right now is the people that walk out that door and don't just say they're going to do it, but the people that walk out there and do that. So for somebody that's worked with me my entire career, we showed up to our agility test the same day. We got hired a few months apart, but we worked a whole lifetime together. Somebody I've looked to as a friend, as a mentor, somebody that I admire greatly. I am so proud to promote him today. Congratulations. Usually at this point, the mayor asks if that person has anything to say, and usually they walk away. But Ben likes to remind us he's a grown man. And he said he had a few thoughts to share. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to let him.
I'm going to ask you because of the technology, we have two people out with COVID and so, or photographers down here. The camera's right there.
Ben, if you stand here.
Right there. Let me put them on for you. Right where you put it. With the mic close to your mouth. Then you can say what it is that you want to say. I think we're okay.
Right there. Ben, it's you, and now you got face there.
Right here.
Picture time. You can get pictures in a little while too. Feel free. You're good? You need anything else?
Okay. First of all, I want to say I love all of you. Thank you for coming. All right, I have a little bit of something to say. Thank you, Mayor, board members. I want to start out by saying, growing up, my dream was to become a professional baseball player or a police officer. I considered both of them my A plan. To me, they were both equally yoked. As a baseball player, I could help people with the money that I would make. As a police officer, I could help people by performing my duties, but the theme here is to help people. But when Reggie, my dear cousin, person I love, Detective Armstrong, and Anthony Stoll, retired police officer, were hired as police officers, I said, how did they get into my dream? I can't remember either one of them saying that they wanted to be a police officer when we were growing up. But I believe God said he needed me to be hired after them so he could deliver me here today. First, I must give glory to God. He has guided me through this journey to this very moment, because in his time, things happen, not mine. Without God, none of this is possible.
Amen.
I want to give thank you to my mom, Madeline Irvin, who's been gone from us since 1998. My mom was a hard worker who gave me my work ethic. Oh, but the parking lot used to be a gas station where my mom used to get gas from. I want to give thanks to my pop.
Okay.
Yep. Benjamin Irvin Sr., everybody knows him as Pop. I became proud of my Pop after he gave up drinking and went into AA. He was sober for about 30 years before he passed. He was one of my first examples of change if you trust in God. I want to thank Chief Sylvester for acknowledging my hard and consistent work, also for giving me the opportunity to jumpstart the School Resource Officer Program at A&D. It allowed me to show the young students a different side, a friendly side of police officers than what is portrayed in the media. I also formed some bonds with the staff who accepted me with open arms. Thank you, A&D. I want to thank my family and my friends for supporting me and believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, and for being there for me during rough times in my life. Town of Ossining is a good place to live. The village of Ossining is a good place to live. And because of the Ossining police officers, we make that possible. Lastly, please keep the family of Detective Sergeant Frank Gualdino of Yonkers in your prayers. He was killed in a motor vehicle accident this week. And now I want to sign off by saying Operator 179 signing out and Operator 353 in service.
Can I ask that the board take a moment to take a picture?
She's upstairs. It's not like, we're not bad guys. We like to take a picture. We try to get it to the paper, etc. And
Maddie, do you mind taking the picture while you're down there?
we'll take a minute.
Maybe do it on the steps?
Give you guys time. No rush. Yeah.
With the board, and Chief Sylvester and so on. Maybe a group shot since there's a lot of people there. That might be fun.
Is that like? Matilda.
Yes. You're fine.
We're gonna wait later because everybody's gonna be doing rush.
How long are you? So Friday.
I'm actually gonna go to the bathroom. I know, but still though. Raise your hand.
And take pictures if you want. There's a staircase. It's a nice background.
Everybody.
It's actually the
Back.
staircase.
Sit down. That's aggravating. Oh. Yeah, we're taking. Yeah. Out there.
Okay.
Hey, Bob. We'll get started. Later. No,
He's not coming back. Yeah, no.
There's an exciting meeting coming up. Because they're going to be out there for a while.
Oh, you didn't have them sign it? Yeah.
Are you ready to reconvene?
Say something?
I asked if everyone was ready to reconvene. I don't see Martha, that's why I'm asking. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he needs to have them sign the book. Crazy, I was here all day today. Went home for an hour. Got out of Everybody? Okay, welcome, let's get started. What did the heck they look that up even? Oh, I see. Hey, looking to my right, any announcement? Data, any announcement? No. Okay, I have, this was a super, super fun day, at least for me. We, in the afternoon, were very grateful to thank Senator Riker Melick and Trustee Lopez who's with me, for a Vets Park, and you all have to go check it out. A beautiful new facility for the kids. We changed over, and some of the staff was there with me too, sorry, to change over the playground to be all inclusive for children with issues, disabilities. It's like a state-of-the-art playground, in addition to another playground that's already there and in good shape, in addition to fixing the area around it. I mean, it was just, and there were some kids there, they just were shy and didn't want their picture taken. So you'll see it probably in the mayor's note, etc. But we do thank the senator serving his final month in office, and we appreciate he has done a lot of really wonderful things in this community, and I'm sure we will be equally grateful for the new senator who's Also, earlier in the morning, actually at noon, there was really a very moving and beautiful presentation by the Austin veterans because December 7th is Pearl Harbor Day. Every year that you do learn something new about what went on. There's mention that on the websites, there are now mention and memorialization of everybody, every non-civilian that was on those ships. And that's sort of a new addition with the use of the technology, which didn't exist before. So I'm sure for their families and their descendants, that is, all good. I'm going to be on vacation next week, so Deputy Mayor Casada will have the honor of winding up the year. We're sort of getting towards the end of the year. We have 2 meetings left, I think, yes? And we have one and then another one, then the last week we don't. And so lots will be going on to, I'm having a hard time hearing myself because there's so many people in.
Folks on are not able to hear you.
They're not able to hear me. I'm like literally kissing the microphones.
Of the noise.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll stop for a minute. In the courtroom, when you have 50 people, it doesn't look like that many, but in this room, it extends all the way out. Okay, hopefully, I'm not going to repeat everything I just said. So I do wish I won't be here for the start of Hanukkah. I wish those folks that celebrate it's just a fun holiday, eating a lot of fried food and lighting candles with the kids and eating chocolates. I think that's just couldn't be more fun. But I won't be here, so I wish lots of joy and happiness for that. I will be back for Christmas, however, and we did have a blast, all sorts of holiday parties going on, but of course the best one was Santa coming down Main Street for the tree lighting ceremony that we had Friday, which was just, as always, really a beautiful time here in Ossining. So that's it for the announcements. We're ready to go. We've got a big agenda. We have a budget, which is why Dale is here, smiling, all excited. So let's get through the agenda. And we are going to have it end on soon. Okay.
Okay. Administrative reports, Village Manager Karen Vittori.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Martha. Very exciting. Congratulations to Sergeant Irwin. I wish I could be there in person. I'm sorry I can't be, but we are busy nonetheless. So not only did we have a great ribbon cutting today, today is also a day that we're celebrating the retirement of our Chief Water Officer, Stephen Ho, who is been with the village for 17 years. He's kind of an amazing guy and runs the water treatment plant in a miraculous way. I can't really, he's got a wealth of experience, attended Cornell, has a background in biology and aquaculture. So we've been in good hands with Steve. He's trained his staff well, so we'll continue to be in good hands. And I'd like you to join me in wishing Steve well in all of his future endeavors and thanking him for the work that he's done on behalf of the village and the town. We are also continuing with our Ossining Firehouse Consolidation Project led by Maddie Zahaj, with a lot of help from our Trustee Fritchie and the fire chiefs. So that's getting well underway, and we're looking at options for the future. We don't know exactly what new improved house might look like, but we're certainly exploring the options and getting the information that we need. So we thank the fire department for their cooperation, as this is a lot of work above and beyond what they're doing on a regular basis. We're also moving forward with the needs assessment for the Youth Bureau. And that is, we've done our consultant working with the community and the school district and all our stakeholder partners has collected most of the information. So they'll be he's working on putting together a report, which we should have before the end of the year. And that will be shared with the board as well. That concludes a lot of other projects going on as we wrap up. wrap up the year, getting started on the 5 corners soon. Most of the construction work won't happen until after this year's end, early spring, or early mid-spring next year. But a lot of the planning work is going into effect now. Getting ready to bid the water treatment plant, getting those bid documents together. So a lot of exciting stuff. We're very busy as we close out the year, but I do want to recognize tonight, as we adopt the budget, the amazing amount of work that went into everything that we did this year to lay the groundwork for next year. Thank you to the board for their leadership and to the staff, and looking forward to an exciting 2023.
Thank you. Questions? All right.
Corporation Counsel Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Martha. Good evening, folks. The seventh local law of 2022.
I'm sorry, Stuart, I can't hear you. There seems to be an echo from the folks in the hallway.
Is it any better now?
No. Maybe switch with the room microphone.
Let the folks know that we need to continue our meeting.
How is this, Jamie?
Much better, Stuart.
Oh,
Andy's microphone for the win.
The chief also went out with Maddie because, you know, that hallway really does echo. There's got to be probably 50 people.
Great place
So,
to sing carols.
I feel like I'm simulcasting a radio show, but as we go, we are on tonight, local law 7 of 2022, hopefully it should be adopted by the board. It has been a busy year with regard to local laws, most importantly with regard to train station and municipal parking, e-bikes, e-scooters, taxes, video conferencing, and none of that could be done without the support of the board and the unstinting support of staff. From manager's office, the assistant manager, Jamie, everybody else, putting all these different local laws together. I actually act more as the scribe than anything else. These folks are the ones who really help to do a lot of this. So thank you. And I do promise that local law 1 of 2023 will be the former local law 13 of 2021, local law 1 of 2022, which will be the police Civilian Police Complaint Review Board. It is my hope that sometime in January, the board will be able to call for a public hearing with regard to that. And we have had a few additional comments from the Police Reform Advisory Committee. They've been put in, and I want to thank Trustee Lopez in particular because it has been a long road, and we'll have some more discussions, obviously a public hearing, but it is, I think we have something that everyone here can be very proud of. I do briefly want to just give a short thank you to Adam Markovics, who this week completed his service as chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Adam, who was eligible to be reappointed, has decided that he, because of work, is not going to be reappointed. He has been on the board at least as long as I have been here. He has been an invaluable member, both as member and as chair. And I certainly wish him good luck. I also want to thank Leilani Dewey, who will be leaving the Environmental Advisory Council at the end of this year. That's more because she does want to come back, but she is currently head of PTA at one of the Ossining schools, and it is essentially taking all of her time. So, and she has also been an invaluable member. She was part of the Downtown Revitalization Group early on, has worked insistently on the EAC, has been a really important member there. We certainly hope to hear more from both Leilani and Adam as the years proceed. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, board.
So I'll send Leilani an email, but PTA, wow. I can understand why, but let's keep her on the list. She's just wonderful as EAC. We'll have to bring her back home soon. Okay, Martha.
Good evening. Just a couple things from the police department. This week, our department is busy participating in the countywide redesign of the records management system. That's something that the board had signed off on us participating in some time ago. We'll be sharing a system with 14 or 15 agencies countywide, which will be a first and a real step of progress for government that doesn't always move so quickly. Our department is currently finishing up our defensive tactics evolution for the year. So all of our officers have been down at the academy with our instructors participating there, and some help from Mount Pleasant Police Department to instruct. So we appreciate that. And lastly, with Sergeant Irvin's promotion tonight, that vacates the spot for school resource officer at Anna Dorner Middle School, where we have placed Officer Francisco Valencia, Spanish speaking and more than 10 years of police experience, a parent, not of children in this district, but strong candidate for that job and somebody that we think is going to be really great in that role. Lastly, as Sergeant Irvin indicated, that this week law enforcement in Westchester has suffered tremendous losses. Just wanted to take a minute and acknowledge that Yonkers Police Department lost Detective Sergeant Frank Baldino, who died in a on-duty police accident in his police cruiser, as well as Peekskill Police Sergeant Greg Jones, who passed away this week. So just a moment to acknowledge those losses. Thanks.
Going on to organizational announcements. Is there anybody here or virtually that would like to make an organizational announcement for no longer than 2 minutes in length?
Jamie, anyone on?
It doesn't look like, there are people on, yes, but it doesn't look like there's anyone that's raising their hand right now.
Okay.
Just because it's difficult to hear Martha, I just want to let the folks out in the, I guess, the audience know that if they want to raise their hand, they can.
Okay, Trustee Lopez, I think, did you say you want to say something?
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to make a quick note. Yesterday, I went to the Westchester County Probation Advisory Council meeting, a part of that particular board. And one of the noteworthy things is they have a facility for, it's a detention center for young people in the county that has 24 beds. And it's very tough to find beds. And right now there's 21 of those beds that are being used. Of those, 19 of the young people that are there for reasons related to guns. And we know that in this country, gun violence is the #1 killer of young people. And we also know from the research that it's not just a matter of let's get guns off the streets, but it takes if you will, a whole village. It takes a wraparound services. And the kind of force that you saw out here today with the police, I think, is indicative of what it takes to reduce gun violence. It takes strong communities that have people that care for young people, that are there for them. Because it's when young people feel unsafe that they turn toward trying to protect themselves. It's a larger cultural issue. And so I want to thank and applaud the Ossining Police Department, certainly the folks in the schools, and our youth bureau, all the parts of our village that come together to support our young people, because in parts of our county and parts of our country in particular, they are hurting, and this need is very much needed. So thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here, either in person or virtually, who would like to make a public comment and have a comment on the agenda items on the agenda tonight? If so, please click on the virtual hand.
It doesn't look like anyone has their hands up, Martha.
Okay, I'm going to wait just 30 seconds. Sometimes I see that from here, I can see there are a lot of participants, but some of it is you guys. So I'm sure there's a handful. Some tap dancing. Okay.
On to visitor recognition, is there anybody here who would like to address the board on issues not related to the agenda but are relevant to the common good of the village? If so, please click your virtual hand.
There is no one with their hands up.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to village board resolutions, approval of minutes, November 16, 2022. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the November 16, 2022 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of voucher detailed December 7th, 2022. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated December 7th, 2022 in the amount of $4,703,801.84. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Comments aside from how large that is? You don't have to explain, it's the end of the year.
That is also as part of the retirement.
Yeah.
We pay our retirement.
Nobody can hear you. You have to put the microphone near your mouth.
Good evening, Board. Yes, we pay our 2022, 2023 retirement invoices in December in order to 1% savings instead of waiting until February. And that's a little more than 3 million is accounted for in that voucher detail, and it's attributable to those.
In January, I expect we'll also have a slightly higher because you're paying off a lot of bills. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adoption and approve local law 11 of 2022 and local law 7 of 2022 is local law amendment chapter 241 taxation of the Village of Austin. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin Village Board has been considering this adoption of proposed local law 11 2022 title, is local law amending chapter 241 taxation of the Village of Austin. And whereas proposed local law amending chapter 241 by amending the property tax exemption for persons with disabilities, adding a new chapter 7 senior citizens tax exemption and amending the older matters property tax exemption. And whereas the public hearing was conducted on November 16, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. at the municipal building in the Anderson platform. And whereas the public hearing was closed on November 16, 2022. And whereas there are no impediments.
I'm sorry, Martha, we can't hear you. And since this is being recorded, is it possible that you could take the microphone from the podium? Possibly.
It just comes back, Martha.
Sorry,
Hello, is that better?
much better. Thank you.
So interesting. Okay.
Okay, it's a little tricky, hold on. Okay, whereas the public hearing was closed on November 16, 2022, and whereas there are no impediments to approving proposed local law 11 of 2022 as local law 7 of 2022. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby adopts proposed local law 11 of 2022 as local law 7 of 2022 and directs that said local law be filed and or distributed in accord with applicable law. And be further resolved, the local law 7 of 2022 shall become effective upon filing with the Secretary of State pursuant to the municipal home rule law. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Any questions or comments?
Okay, this is a roll call vote. So trustee White,
Aye.
trustee Casada,
Aye.
trustee Lopez,
Aye.
trustee Fritchie,
Aye.
Mayor Levin.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution authorizing settlement, George Montes de Oca versus Michael G. Genovese et al. Whereas George Montes de Oca commenced a lawsuit in Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, captioned for George Montes de Oca versus Michael G. Genovese, Sebastian S. Dennis, Isabel M. Dennis, County of Westchester, Town of Austining, and Village of Austining, under index number 56736/2020 for damages arising from a motor vehicle accident occurring on on July 19, 2019. And whereas the Board of Trustees previously authorized settlement authority up to the remaining amount of the village's self-insured retention. And whereas the village's defense counsel engaged in settlement disclosures by plaintiff's counsel, after which the parties agreed to a settlement of $20,000 by the village. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin authorizes settlement of the litigation commenced by Jorge Montes de Oca for $20,000, and be further resolved that upon review by the Corporation Council, the village managers authorized to sign documents necessary to effectuate the aforementioned settlements, and be further resolved that the treasurer of the Village of Austin is hereby authorized and directed to page to Jorge Montes de Oca and the Oshman Marshall Law Group PLLC $20,000 in settlement of the aforementioned litigation upon delivery to the Village of Austin of a release to the village for settlement of the litigation against the village. Do I have a motion?
So second.
Any comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Agreement to provide policing services to the unincorporated area of the Town of Austining. Resolved that following review by the Corporation Council, the village managers authorized to sign an agreement with the Town of Austining, whereby the Austining Police Department will provide policing services to the unincorporated area of the Town of Austining for a 4-year term commencing on January 1st, 2023 and expiring on December 31st, 2026. And be it further resolved that the aforementioned agreement shall only become effective after the town board of the town of Austin has adopted a resolution authorizing the town supervisor or designee to sign the agreement, and the agreement has been so signed. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, just want to say for the public, I think many people know that. In addition, as the chief said earlier, that we hire locally for our police department for all the reasons he actually stated. In addition, it is actually the village and the village trustees who have the police department chief report into the village. We manage it. We have an IMA, intermunicipal agreement with the town. So this is one of those agreements for services that we are re-upping for 4 years. I always thought they were 3 years, but 4 years sounds good to me too. And that's been a long-standing relationship that I think is going well. So that's what this resolution is about. Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Sorry, couldn't hear you there. Thank you. Resolution declaring certain village-owned vehicles as surplus. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby declares the following vehicle as surplus equipment and authorizes the disposal in accordance with New York State law by sale or otherwise as is. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution authorizing the superintendent of the Recreation and Parks Department to accept a cash donation. Resolved that the superintendent of the Village of Austin Recreation and Parks Department is authorized to accept from Maryland Condemn a cash donation of $600 to provide for a show by Animal Embassy, www.animalembassy.com, for the department's after-school program. And be it further resolved that the Village of Austin Board of Trustees gratefully acknowledges the donation to the Recreation and Parks Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Agreeing with A1 Computer Services Incorporated, resolved that the following review, the Corporation Council, the village manager authorized to sign a service level agreement with A1 Computer Services Incorporated, 16 Mount Ebro Road, Suite 17, Brewster, New York, 10509, to provide information technology services for the period of January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments or questions? Chief, are you guys also, are you in the contract, or is yours separate and the timing is different, or is it in conjunction with?
I don't know. I haven't seen that contract.
Okay, so somebody should just look at,
OPT is part of the contract.
they are part, because I thought that they did separately. Okay, fabulous. It's a 1-year contract. I think that's the right way to go with them. I think we discussed this a few months ago. Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Opposed? Fiscal year 2023 budget adoption, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin received from the town assessor for the year 2023 a combined total taxable assessment of real property and special franchise properties of $2,588,555,417. And whereas the Board of Trustees received the 2023 tentative budget on November 2nd, 2022, in accordance with Section C4-3 of the Village Charter, and has since amended same. And whereas a public hearing on the tentative budget was opened and closed on November 16, 2022. And whereas the Board of Trustees, upon giving further consideration to requests and recommendations of all department heads, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin does hereby adopt the budget of the Village of Austin for the fiscal year 2023, showing that there be levied and assessed upon the sum of taxable and special franchise properties of the Village of Austin, as hereinbefore listed, the sum of $24,601,693 to be raised a real property tax levy, and which sum is more completely set forth in the budget for the Village of Austin. And be it further resolved that the tax rate rounded to the nearest penny and the same hereby is fixed at $9.50 per $1,000 of assessed taxable valuation. And be it further resolved, the adopted budget for calendar year 2023 shall include the appropriations and estimated revenues for the general fund, water fund, sewer fund, section 8 program fund, and debt service fund as modified by the Board of Trustees as follows. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the capital plan for the calendar year 2023 as presented, see attached, subject to follow-up board resolutions to implement. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments? Okay, I'm going to say a few things because it's required. If for nothing else, Martha's become so great at going so quickly that I've just got to slow this one down. At least so Dale will enjoy the moment. And she's here and everything else. So I want to say three things. This is the budget. Tax rate decrease of just north of 9%. Now, it would be really wonderful if we were the biggest taxing entity to the individuals living here. The truth is, we're not. It's the school tax that's the highest portion of our taxes. And of course, all of us sitting in this room pay taxes. So we're all in the same boat on this. But I am super happy to say, job well done to the entire staff, obviously finance department. This is the big thing of the year. Number two, it is the trustees who are the only ones that vote on this. This is what we're doing tonight, and I sign it and send it up and all of that. So this is like one of the biggest things that trustees do in the year if we do nothing else. The truth is we do lots of things, but this is something that is a true team effort. So again, for my members on the board, I thank you guys, all of you, for the questions, the comments, and just following through with the budget. What's important, what we don't want to focus on, what we do want to focus on. I do want to remind the public, this is a focus. This is a stake in the ground. These are not promises that every dollar that we said we will spend is a carte blanche expenditure to department heads, municipality, or anybody else. This is a prescribed budget, and as the year progresses, things will come up in front of the board and we will spend money accordingly. If we hit a recession and adjustments have to be made, the finance department will make recommendation, as will the village manager. If we come into money, we will have more money to spend. So this is a stake in the ground. This is not a card to go out and spend. Everybody on staff knows that, but for people who listen or look at the recordings later on, I just want to make that clear. Sometimes people think us passing the budgets means that we approved everything and everything's a green light. Actually not so. There's Martha, just a dollar sign missing on the previous page. I think when you did the 2 billion XYZ, I think there's a dollar sign just missing there. That's all. And lastly, super excited about so many amazing projects, and the fact that with this budget, our finance department is always, with your leadership, Dale, and your leadership, Karen, Diatori, is still puts in a conservative estimates, including conservative cost increases that we're expecting to see this year. So I think this board is feeling really, really good about where we are. And we always expect some changes, we just don't know what they are, but we're ready for them. This community and this group of people that we have working with us have really done a great job in keeping the ship on the right where it's supposed to be, on course, for good times and bad times. I appreciate all of that. Really good budget, allowing us to do a lot of stuff. As any comments, it allows for growth, it allows for staffing appropriateness, the DRI initiatives that are coming, grants that are coming. I think, I forgot to mention, we just got another grant, I think 48 hours ago. I saw from Jamie, like 2 days ago, we got yet another grant. We're now becoming so spoiled, we don't even tell the public anymore when we get a grant. It's we've gotten like big for our britches here. We have to celebrate these moments. I forgot the name of the for the electric. There were locals approved for 20 communities. 12 communities, of which Ossining is one of the communities, for one electric vehicle, $5,000. So that's really cool. All right. Are we ready? We should have gotten a bell, a drum roll, something, but I'm gonna have to just go with it. Okay, Martha.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Nobody, okay.
I'm doing my gavel. All right.
Resolution declaring certain village-owned property as surplus plotter printer. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby declares the following equipment as surplus equipment and authorizes the disposal in accordance with New York State law by sale or otherwise as is. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Honestly, we need a resolution to get rid of a printer? Wow.
It's a big printer.
All
Must
the
be.
big,
No, it's not a printer, it's a plotter.
yeah,
Plotter.
all equipment has to be out of approval.
Yeah, this must be very expensive stuff originally. Okay,
Yes, it was.
I think you're getting a yay on it. I just,
Okay, okay.
I missed this when I looked at the resolutions. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bid phase services for new Indian Brook Water Treatment Plant resolved that the following review by the Corporation Council of the Village Manager is authorized to sign the scope of services for bid phase services for the new Indian Brook Water Treatment Plant with Hazen and Sawyer 498 7th Avenue, 11th floor, New York, New York, which scope of services is detailed in the November 14, 2022 proposal. Do you have a motion?
So move. Second.
Comments, questions? Okay.
Okay.
Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adoption of changes to fee schedule for 2023 other than water and sewer fees, whereas the village's adopted financial goals and policies requires in part the establishment and periodic evaluation of user charges and fees to help reduce reliance on real property taxes. And whereas at this time, village management has recommended certain changes to the adopted fee schedule for 2023. Now therefore be it resolved. The village's fee schedule is hereby amended effective January 1st, 2023 for the following user charges and fees. And be it further resolved that all other user fees in the adopted fee schedule for 2023 shall continue in effect until and unless changed by resolution of the Board of Trustees. Do you have a motion?
So move. Second.
Comments?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adoption of changes to fee schedule for 2023 water and sewer rents and fees, whereas the village's adopted financial goals and policies requires in part the establishment and periodic evaluation of user charges and fees to generate revenue sufficient to support the cost of the water and sewer funds. And whereas at this time, village management has recommended a 5% increase to water and sewer rates in the adopted fee schedule for 2023, and for and for meter fees and related service connection charges now therefore be resolved. The village's fee schedule for water and sewer rates and fees is hereby amended effective January 1st, 2023 as follows. Do you have a motion?
So move. Second.
Any comments? Questions? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Authorizing the village manager to sign a shared services intermunicipal agreement for recycling mobile application. Whereas the village of Austining has an agreement with Sustainable Westchester to provide to village residents a mobile and web communications platform regarding waste and recycling schedules. And whereas the Department of Environmental Conservation makes available funding for municipal entities who participate in such programs. And whereas there exists a consortium of Westchester County municipalities who have joined forces to jointly submit an annual grant application, which will refund as much as 50% of the participating municipality subscription fees on an annual basis. Now therefore be resolved that upon review by the Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign the shared services IMA New York State DEC grant for recycling app for the village of Terrytown and 16 other Westchester County communities to effectuate the grant application for the 2023 year on behalf of all undersigned. Do you have a motion?
So move. Second.
Comments?
Favor?
Aye.
Maddie? Oh, sorry, David, could you make a note? I had asked for, just because Sustainable Westchester, a comparison of the fees that other municipalities are paying.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm still waiting to hear back from Sustainable Westchester, but I did go back to the original contract and verify that it's not based on parcel count, it's based on number of residents per the census. So right now we pay $5,000 plus CPI going into the year 2023. Some communities will pay less and some more, but I'm still waiting to hear back from Sustainable Westchester exactly what the tiers are.
Yeah, I'd just be interested. I think it's time to review that. We have a town, we have a village, we have membership dues that we pay to Sustainable, we do projects with them. I just think it would be nice to it's sort of time to look at that relationship. I'm not planning to change, I just want to understand it.
Sure.
I don't think we've looked at it for a while. Thank you.
We already voted on this, right? Yes, okay.
Yes, we did.
Sale of 2 State Street 97.07-2-2, whereas section C3-12B of the Village of Austining Charter states, the village board of trustees may purchase, hold, and convey real property in the name of the village. Every conveyance by the village shall be executed in its corporate name by the mayor pursuant of a resolution of the board of trustees. And whereas New York Village Law section 1-201 parentheses 1 provides that the village shall have power to take, purchase, hold, lease, sell, and convey such real and personal property as the purposes of the corporation may require. And whereas in furtherance of the public interest and consistent with the authority of the section C3-12B of the charter and section 1-102 of the village law, the board of trustees has determined that the village owned property of 2 State Street tax map designation 97.07-2-2 is no longer needed for public purposes and wishes to convey the property. And whereas the village manager on behalf of the village entered into negotiations and came to terms on the conveyance of the property to Havel Property Group LLC for $40,000. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the conveyance of real property located at 2 State Street to Havel Property Group LLC for $40,000. And be further resolved that the village manager is authorized to enter into a contract of sale and to tender a deed with any other related instruments in accordance with the negotiated terms and conditions, such documents being subject to review and approval by the Corporation Council. Have a motion?
So move. Second.
Stuart, if I may ask you to give a little clarification of what happened here,
Of course.
so that it's just on the record.
Thank you.
There's a-
Thank you, Mayor. This board, a few weeks back, had approved a resolution to sell 2 State Street to OVO Property Group, which is also the owner of the adjoining property at 4 State Street. The owner was informed today that under village law, if the same owner owns 2 adjacent properties, those properties are merged into one lot. The owner did not want to merge the properties at this time. So he has created a new LLC identified as Havel Property Group LLC, which will in fact take title to 2 State Street. I can advise the board that it is hoped that the closing will be within days. The title report has been received. The deed is being prepared. The contract has been signed. There will be a small amendment to the contract to reflect it is no longer OVO property, but it is in fact Havel. But that's why this change is being made, because the owner does not want the 2 lots merged at this time.
Okay, so I don't know if that changes anybody's mind. There was conversation we had. Sure, why not give that small unused property that is more of a hindrance to to us than it is a help, because most people don't even realize it's tiny little triangle property. The idea was that we'd give him more space for what he wants to build. Does anybody see any issues at this point? I want to make sure that, it's a little bit of a rush, so I just want to make sure we don't come back to this and then scratch our heads. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, and I don't think our council or village manager have a problem, but just making sure that we sometimes go very quickly through these things. We'll make sure it's okay.
I don't have a phone. No problem.
Everybody's good. Okay, then.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Fire Department removal from active roles, Hollow Hose Company number 5. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby removes the following firefighters from the active roles of the Austin Fire Department, Hollow Hose Company number 5, Jane Beeman, Robert Morris, Juan Luquiles, and Rufino Gonzalez. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Fire Department removal from active roles, Cataract Hose Company number 2. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby removes the following firefighters from the active roles of the Austin Fire Department, Cataract Hose Company number 2, Brandon Villa, Cornelius Coabla, Christian Milas, Gina Milas, and Vincent Conklin. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just want, sorry, go ahead.
Opposed?
Just want to thank all the folks on these lists, thank them for their volunteerism and their service.
Fire Department appointment, Austin Hose Company number 1. Resolved that upon recommendation of the Fire Chief Nicholas Garduzzi, Austin, New York, was elected as an active member, Austin Fire Hose Company number 1 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions?
Fire Department,
Yes,
sorry, all
vote.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Fire Department appointment, Austin Fire Police and Emergency Squad. Resolved that upon recommendation of the Fire Chief Ian Meckel, Austin, New York, was elected an active member, Austin Fire Police and Emergency Squad for exterior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have continuing business of the board, discussion of license agreement for 128 Revolutionary Road.
Mayor, I believe, and Jamie, if you could check, is there a James Blatt who is, if you could bring Mr. Blatt over, he is the principal of Sadie's Home LP, which is the owner of 128 Revolutionary Road. Just to remind this board, the board had previously approved a resolution authorizing the village manager to sign a license agreement with the property owner, Sadie's Home LP, for the purpose of having the trees along Revolutionary Road removed and new trees put in. This is part of a project that the Board of Architectural Review had approved an accessory garage to be at that location. I prepared a license agreement, and when going through the exhibits, noted that I provided to the board previously, and I think it's part of the agenda tonight, some photographs which depict, in fact, that there is a fence which is on the property, which is actually on the village's property. In fact, the fence is closer to Revolutionary Road than the trees. So I wanted to come back before this board because the project would involve removal of the fence, installation of a new fence with the trees as well. As the fence was not discussed at the prior meeting, I thought it necessary, not just appropriate, but necessary to come back before this board. Mr. Blatt, who is, as I said, the principal of Sadie's Home and is the person I've been dealing with, is on tonight to answer any questions that the board may have. I thought it'd be appropriate that he be here. That's why we're back again tonight, folks.
Mhm. What is Sadie's Home? Good evening, Mr. Black.
Good evening. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you better than I think you guys can hear us. What is Sadie's Home?
Sadie's Homes, it's just for estate planning that when I pass it goes to my children. So I'm
Okay, all right. I thought that maybe it was either a nonprofit or some other thing. So it's just interest. That's
yeah, Sadie was a beloved family member who came over from the Ukraine. So I named it after her great grandmother.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Stuart, did you say? We have some questions.
Yes, please.
I think what happened, sir, is the fence surprised us. We were talking about trees and then it pivoted to fence. So trustee, two questions?
Sure, and actually, thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. So some of my concerns obviously was, I'm looking at the application that was submitted to the planning board on June, July, and some of the stuff that was submitted early in the year as well. So the location of the fence was on the site plan, some additional information, obviously with the curb cut and everything else. So my question to you is, why can the fence be relocated on new property? By looking at that Google map, and I drive Revolutionary Road almost 3 times a week, along that street going up to Scarborough Manor itself is also the fences along those properties are actually, it looks to be on their property as well. So it will be more as a symmetry in that regards. Is there any particular reason why you want to keep that fence where it is now?
Okay, yes, thank you for your questions and for having me at the meeting. If it's okay, if I may, just a quick introduction. I'm also an English and civics teacher. I teach my students that the municipal level of government affects us most directly. And I think it's thanks to the work that you folks do that make our village the prettiest in the county. I say that with absolute sincerity. And I bought this home because of the vintage character. It's an 1880 home. I believe there are, it looks to be original forest, a towering American beech and Norway spruce. So I would be giving of my property as well as the village right of way to actually plant more trees than are being removed due to decay. Okay, and so I don't know if this presents well, and I'll get to your question specifically. I just have to look away. So this is Chemies. I can't quite orient myself to the camera, but yeah, over here is Chemies, there. Okay, and the road along Chemies is actually elevated. Sorry, the property is higher than the road along Chemies. The property is also, well, oh, nice. Okay, that's much easier. Thank you, folks. Okay, so I'm just kind of pointing along myself. Yeah, so along Kemi's where the ravine is, the property is higher, so the trees are protected. Same with the corner where Kemi's meets Revolutionary, and also a little bit along Revolutionary. But when you get to where my home is, it's actually level. So right now the fence is closer to the road. So I'm not looking to really move its location, but keep it the same. And then I was told that it would protect the new plantings and also provide a safety queue, you know, for my family or other drivers. So that's why I'm looking for it to stay where it is.
I get the sense that didn't actually answer you.
No, it didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. If you could re-ask it, I'm sorry if I didn't answer it.
So I went back to Google Maps, sure, and I went back to 2013. That's as far as it goes on the picture. So on that picture, it was a peak fence. It was about 3 feet high at that time. And after that, it was changed to what you actually have in your property. So my question to you is, since that you are going to be removing that fence because of the planting of the trees, that we thank you for what you're trying to do there, is not only improves your home, but also improves the right of way between, and it becomes a buffer. So since that you have to do all those plantings, for me, will be best if you put the fence back on your property line instead. Now, not only that, and my question, so my request will be for you to put the fence back on your property line, but not only that, now that you brought up Kenny's avenue as well, so you are planting trees along that side. Along that side is also a retaining wall, correct?
I believe you're right. I'm not often there, so I believe you are correct.
Yeah, no. So I'm looking at obviously the site plan, sure, and I'm assuming, and I'm going to defer this question to probably for you and Stuart and our building of planning department to find out who does that retaining wall belongs to, because it's not on your property, it's on village property. And by looking at Google, and I'm going to drive there, I forgot to drive there today, but it looks like that retaining wall is also falling apart.
Okay,
So usually what has happened in the past, and the store can correct me, when we have dealt with similar situations in here, we had asked the applicant to repair this wall, because now that you're going to be planting trees so close to the property line, the roots of that is going to affect that stone wall that is there. So I think, and again, this is just me, I'm only one board in here, so I still have concerns that I don't think are going to be addressed today. So I will ask for you guys to look at this a little bit more closer, to rethink the location of the fence on this, and probably come back to us in regards to the retaining wall.
I just want to make one point. The effort is to try to get the trees down as quickly as they can. The reason to do that is so that next spring they can do the planting. So if, I understand exactly what you're saying. The issue of the retaining wall did not come up anytime, because the only issue that the arborist looked at was the trees, and the trees along Kemi's are on the property of Sadie's home. So I just want to make that clear, is that did not come up before.
Totally understand that. So
Okay.
I have no problem with the trees. I think we established that last time. I think that's what we all agree into this agreement. So the problem that I'm having, another problem, the concern that I'm having is two things. Sure, the location of the fence along Revolutionary Road, that I think it should be done on their property. Just if you guys were to drive along that road, every other fence that is on that side of the street is actually looks to be on their property lines. So the other issue, or the other concern that I have is obviously that stone retaining wall that is not on his property, that is on village property. 90% of that stone wall is pretty much falling down. So if you were to plant trees there, to me, the roots at some point in time are going to be affecting that wall. And as he stated before, So the retaining wall, it is doing something in there.
So we turn this conversation into trees because we get things presented to us in pieces. This is one of the overall problems. As if it's about trees, but in fact, the resident here is adding footage to their property in the sense of they're building something, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So this is not about trees. You're adding square footage to your housing, an extra dwelling. And to do that, you need to reconfigure a few things. While generously offering to have trees, not so generous is the opportunity that the village misses out on, which is that it's and some things are on property. So unfortunately, we don't see things always the same way as some of our boards. Somebody should have looked at it. The arborist didn't look at it because the arborist wasn't instructed by us in the village to go look at it and what the roots are going to do and what the fence looks like, because that's not what arborists do. The boards, whoever agreed to this, clearly didn't look at Google Maps or take a car and drive to look and say, hey, what's the real issue here? So everybody's looking at pieces, but that's not what our role is. So I think this requires a little bit more of a look because it's all been turned into trees.
But Mayor, I do want to be fair here
Okay, go ahead.
with regard to the.
Because I know you said in the meetings,
The
go ahead.
arborist was there to look at the plan to remove trees.
Right,
That's what he did. That
correct,
was his charge.
correct.
So he wasn't there to look at a retaining
I
wall.
just said that.
No, but I think the implication is that some board should have looked at it. This was not a BAR issue because the BAR was looking at an accessory garage on Revolutionary Road, having nothing to do with Kennys Avenue. So I just wanted to be clear, this wasn't before a board for that purpose. This was before a board, this was only before one land use board. And the land use board approved that. And then when it came up, the realization was with regard to trees. I just wanted to clarify that the issue on along Kennys Avenue was not before any board. It wasn't, the only issue was the trees.
So can I ask for a point of clarification? You bring up that point that it was only in front of the planning board.
Well, the BAR.
Okay. So they had a site plan, sure. I'm looking at the site plan.
Okay.
I'm looking at the site plan. So on the site plan, there's obviously, not that I want to deviate from the conversation, but in the site plan, you have the proposed garage, you have the additional square footage of the length of the driveway, the new curb cut that I had asked, which I found it on here, so which was done. But it's also the retaining wall. So, and usually, typically, what we have asked in the past, or my recollection is, when an applicant, this isn't sure, when an applicant goes in front of the VAR, zoning board, or any other board, as part of the application, they're supposed to be submitting pictures of the site. And unfortunately, I don't see that in here. So I don't want to start, blaming anybody else.
No, it's not a matter of blame, but I want to just be clear. The BAR application was an accessory garage off of Revolutionary Road. The BAR had no charge with regard to Kennys Avenue, so there would have been nothing for the BAR to have considered with regard to Kennys Avenue. They wouldn't have been directing anything with regard. There was nothing in their order with regard to it. I understand the point being made, but that was never the BAR's role here. The BAR was looking specifically to an exterior of an accessory garage. This isn't even a planning board matter because it's a single family home. So there would be no planning board approval anyway.
So Stuart, the license agreement is for Revolutionary Road.
For the trees along Revolutionary, that's correct.
Nothing to do with Kenny's.
No.
So in the interest of time, it sounds like they want to take these trees down. Now, we've already agreed to the trees, I believe, in a previous meeting, and that's why it's in front of us right now. So can we pass this with a condition? Or is it even worthy of a condition at this point?
Well, you've already approved the trees. That board has already done that and done a license agreement. The issue now relates to the fence. And I think perhaps the question that we should ask now of the applicant is, would he move the fence essentially to his property, within his property, which seems to be what some of the board members are talking about.
Well, there's only one member that's talking about the fence right now, so I'm not sure what the rest of the board
Let me
feels.
just add something. So to answer your question, I don't know if I would approve the trees had I known about a fence. Okay, because if you're gonna do that work, then move the fence back on the property. You're gonna have to take it down anyway. So I don't know, I approved something, which is why I wrote to our council and said, you didn't give us the full information. We voted on something with half the information. That's not right. I don't know, I may have voted. I was voting on trees, but then it was brought to my attention that it's not just trees. It's also a fence thing. This is about getting more square footage to a relatively large piece of property where there's things already on those property. They're gonna have to be moved. Once you plant the trees, you can't move the fence. I mean, these things are all connected. So I don't know if I would have voted that way. And by slicing and dicing all this stuff, I'm not sure I would have voted the same way. I might have. So one of the problems is not being given the full picture. Now, I don't know, you can define full picture in many different ways, right? It's like everything's connected to everything. I mean, I don't think there's anything nefarious. It just, that was why we're having this conversation. So everybody's looking at a piece of it. The question is whether it's within legal rights, but we're being asked, but this is village property. We prefer not to have anything related to somebody's house on village property whenever possible. I think that's sort of the big picture here.
That's true. The trees that are there now were planted, goodness knows how long ago.
That's right.
The fence, I don't know when this particular fence went in. I simply have no idea.
Of course.
But as Deputy Mayor correctly points out, the approved planting plan and the survey do show what they describe as a board fence, which is within the property line. As for the retaining wall, I think it's, one question would be who's responsible for maintaining that wall? Because unlike the circumstance where we had before with 85 Narragansett, where that wall was in fact partially on that person's property, if this wall may not even be this property owner's responsibility. However, I think it's a fair question to ask of the arborist, would the replacement of trees have an impact on what is potentially a village wall? And I don't know what the wall it is, so I don't want to say whatever. But so we've got a wall on Kemmy's, we've got a fence on Revolutionary Road. We have a resolution, but we obviously do not have a signed license agreement because we have the issue with regard to the fence. And the board itself has raised some other issues. So I do understand what the deputy mayor is saying. There are some questions that I guess need to be answered and see what the board wants to do. I mean, it's the board's call as to how they would like me to proceed next with regard to this. Happy to do whatever you.
I believe we were going to ask the property owner the question of the fence.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Mr. Black, the questions come up if the fence that is now there, and you indicated to me that you would be putting in a new fence. If that fence could in fact be located on your property rather than within the village's right of way. That's the Revolutionary Road side.
Okay, so I just wanted to conclude with the retaining wall. That is a very valid point. I don't know whose property it sits on. Perhaps it is villages, but of course the top priority is to ensure the viability of the new plantings, and any tree that gets removed will be replaced so that the number of trees, in fact, there'll be more trees planted. That's what I said at the beginning. So yeah, and my understanding of the Kemmy's Road part, it's elevated enough. I don't think along Kemmy's it's really close to that retaining wall, but the tip certainly is. So I'm not sure about that. Now, when I bought the property, that fence was already there. So I didn't put in anything, and I'm not looking to expand my property. It does look large. It's about 1/2 acre, but 1/3 of it is a ravine that's really unusable, but it is part of a pretty view, and there's forest there. So I wasn't looking to build a new fence. It was just to move part of the fence for the new dwelling. So that part would be removed so that I could have access to the garage. So I wasn't looking to move the fence in any way. I'm not sure how it got built there, or I don't know, have more information than that. But Revolutionary Road is level to the property, and the arborist said that they can get in and remove the trees without removing the fence. So there wasn't an issue there. And the fence actually provides protection for the trees in the case of snow removal, or if somebody veers and there's an accident, better to hit the fence than the trees. So it's just to maintain what it is now. But I'm not sure how that fence got placed where it is. That I don't know. I bought the property and it was there already.
That part is certainly understood. I think when the reference was made to expanding, there is no issue here that the trees along Revolutionary Road and the fence are actually within the village's property. The survey shows that. I don't think there's an issue here. From what I'm understanding, what you're saying, Mr. Glatt, the only portion of the fence that you understand that would have to be removed is in the vicinity of where the curb cut will be made. And that, from what you've been told by your arborist, the rest of the fence as now appears would remain as is?
Yes, and that he doesn't need to remove that fence to remove the trees and plant new ones. That the new trees would go in between the existing trees, and that the root systems would establish themselves in those places.
Not moving a portion of it.
It's actually taking out a portion.
Taking out.
Taking out a portion, correct.
You're taking, I'm sorry, you're actually taking a portion and patching the other section because you do have 2 curb cuts existing right now, correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
So he's just moving enough for the curb.
So he's removing this part here, but then he's patching this part here. Because he has one existing curb cut here and another one here. So he's closing this one here.
Right.
And opening a new one, so
But
he's
it's-
moving this
In
over
relation
here.
to the total fence, it's a small piece of it. It's not the whole fence.
Correct, well, that's not, correct.
Right.
Correct.
All right, that's a little bit different. And it was already there. When did you buy the property, by the way?
During the pandemic, 2020.
All right, so all these things are on record. This is not a purchase from many years ago. Okay. Yeah, and we also saw that when they did the town search, you also see that fence is where it's located. So it's a small piece of it, it's not the whole fence. Does that change your point of view, Manny?
Not really.
Oh, okay. He's only moving a small part of it. If he were moving the whole thing, you could say that put it on your property, not on ours, but it's a small piece of it.
I understand that.
All right, the, okay, are you ready?
It's up to
do you
the
have
board,
a-
yeah, like I said, it's the majority of the board, I'm not gonna.
I know, but I think you brought up a good point
I
also.
still think we need to figure it out, I guess, the retain.
Please,
Who's,
yeah.
you know, who's main, like I said, it's falling down and, someone needs to maintain that wall or fix that wall.
And that's a fair point. I think Mr. Black recognizes that as
Of
well.
course.
That what we need to determine is maintenance, whose maintenance, and also both from his arborist and the village's own arborist, will the 7 arbor vitae and the 5 viburnums that are scheduled to go in there have any impact on the efficiency of that wall and has to be done. So that's separate. But in terms of here, if the board is okay with essentially the wall remaining, except for the portion where the curb cut's gonna come, and that portion's coming out, that we can, the license agreement can be revised to include that.
Yeah, the license agreement ideally, based on this conversation, should include if he moves more than those few feet, then he should be putting it back on his property.
Understood.
That would be a better license agreement. I don't want to go in 2 months and find out he took down the whole fence and put it back on our property. Now we have to maintain it. So, you know, I understand that X number of years ago, whatever. I also understand that when people buy stuff, they buy what they think is legitimate, but they are actually supposed to look at title searches. They're supposed to look at site plans. This is not a small house. This is a major piece of property that sits on two different roads, and all these things could be looked at because it's all information available to the consumer. And saying, I don't know, I just bought it that way, we're gonna have to sort of move away from people who come in and say that, because while it's a fair statement, it's also fair to say information is available. So if the better agreement from my perspective that I could agree to is if more than, I don't know how many feet that driveway cut needs, is done on the fence, then the fence has to go back on. I mean, that's something I would be interested in seeing, not only with this resident, but others. So, does that work?
Yeah, Mr. Black, basically what the suggestion from the board's end is, and you've indicated, if all that is being changed from the fence is the portion of the curb cut for the accessory garage, then the fence could remain where it is. But if for any reason, portions of the fence have to come down, or the fence has, other portions have to be moved, then the board's inclination is that the entire fence should then go onto your own property. So this will depend on what your arborist basically comes back with. If you're able to just do the area where the curb cut is, then the fence can stay where it is. I guess, I think I've said it that way. Do you understand the point?
Yes, and wouldn't the license agreement obligate me to tend to that fence if something were to happen to it, even though it's on village right of way?
That's all in there, but I guess the point is this: what we're trying to minimize in this village as much as we can is having incursions onto village property where they don't otherwise have to be. I will let you know that earlier this week, I was given a survey of a property in the village where there is a brand new fence that went up that is 9 feet onto village property. It is not even on anybody else's property, and it goes around the corner. So what we're trying to avoid is having circumstances, and unfortunately in an old village with a lot of homes, this happens a lot. But you're right, the license agreement will include all that maintenance language, but what we are trying to do over time is minimize as many of these, as I said, incursions onto village property. Here we understand what the situation is, so that's what we're trying to do. And again, if we keep it, as we said, just at where the curb cut is, and that's the only part that's going to come out, then the fence is where it is. But if anything else has to be done, then we would need it to go essentially onto your property.
Can I just as a point of clarification as well, can we figure it out the exact, because unfortunately in the site plan, it does not have the width of the curb cut. Can we put a number of the curb cut is safe?
They'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I think we can do that.
Yeah,
Mr.
they'll
Black,
figure it
basically
out.
what the
They'll
request
give
is
us
just
some
at some
wiggle
point, you and I will discuss the size of the curb cut that we're talking about. And I think when we can do that, I think we should be fine.
And the arborist might say needs to be an extra
Right.
foot because there's a
Right.
turning ratio, blah, blah, blah.
We can-
But if you're already gonna take a fence down now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, then put it back on the property. Start doing corrective measures across the village when possible. So we do appreciate, however, the trees being planted, the right trees being planted. Every municipality in Westchester is looking for all things that have been planted, not with any nefarious intention, just people didn't know 50 years ago, 40 years ago. So those are also things, and this will be part of helping with that, which we very much appreciate. So if you two can work this out,
Yes.
then we can move forward.
And Mayor, what I'm thinking of doing, we do have, Maddie will correct me, I think we have a special meeting on the 21st or whatever, or the 20, whatever it is. Or the 14th, on the 14th we do, next week. So what I would like to do is have a resolution which essentially amends the resolution that was passed.
Right.
So we will do that.
Because
I'll have
I
it-
think there's a time is of the essence here because
So, because
you
we want
guys
to
want
get
to get
this
this
done.
done.
So, Mr. Black, I will speak with you tomorrow, but we're gonna, my plan is to have a revised resolution to the board next week, which will make reference to the fence because the original resolution did not. We'll include that in a license agreement. And then, you'll be able to proceed, get your, tree removal permit from the village, and we'll be able to do what has to be done.
Okay, and so I thank you for listening to this matter. The gentleman named Doug came out to look at it. This was from the department, I believe. I can't recall which one. And his colleague Eduardo was going to remove the trees. And then when I was speaking with Mr. Kahan, that obligation was going to fall back to me. Removing the decaying trees and having the stumps removed and purchasing the new trees and having them replanted. So that, that's a sizable cost, around $30,000. So that saves the village taxpayer that money and that makes the village prettier and my property too. So I don't want you thinking that I'm just trying to take village property or anything like that. I love where the home is and where I live, and I appreciate the work that you do.
No, I thank you for bringing it up. We understand, and I think, if not all of us, most of us, I used to live not far from there. Just take my walks right by your house, actually. It's a beautiful house. Congratulations on purchasing. You're going to get decades of pleasure out of it. It's a great location. We understand that and we appreciate it, but as you can understand, as things get changed, that's when we take the opportunity to change it correctly. So we do appreciate it, and Stuart Kahan and you will continue. We'll get this last piece of it done, and then we're good to go.
Okay, I put in geothermal thanks to the Sustainable Westchester presentation. This isn't my first meeting attending, so I've learned a lot from council and the trustees. And so just trying to make, upgrade the home in, doing it the right way.
No, that's great. That's a really good move.
Thank you, Mr. Blatt. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much to everybody on the board of trustees.
Thank you. Martha?
Okay, new business of the board, change the fee schedule overnight hardship parking rate. Resolved that effective January 1st, 2023, the following fees be revised on the Village of Austining fee schedule. Change from 250-29D2 overnight hardship parking on-street application, $80 for the first car, $40 for each additional car. Change to 250-29D2 overnight hardship parking on-street application, $85 per car. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Everybody got that?
I need a second.
Second car too is $85.
Correct.
Every car.
Every car.
Every car takes the same linear footage is what I learned last week in a meeting with the chief and the village clerk and a whole bunch of people. We have a parking scenario that will be dealt with in 23. Not a surprise to anybody in this village, not a surprise to anybody on this board. It is a big burly issue. In addition to the downtown parking, in addition to the businesses we need to support, in addition to parking facilities, the list goes on. But there are grid areas, not one street, where, especially during COVID, this has become a big topic for people. One of the things that came out that's a low-hanging fruit, and you'll see more low-hanging fruit being brought up, is this idea that somebody has walked in and said they need 5, 6, 7 hardship, overnight parking tags, and the village clerk was a little taken aback. But the pricing can't be what it has been, because in fact, every car takes up linear footage and prevents others who live in that street or that community from parking. So this is a start. You'll be hearing more. Maddie hopefully will live long enough to resolve this for us. We hope.
Okay, a second.
But that's just, I'm framing it. You'll be hearing more about sort of pricing as one of the issues, but this was a low hanging fruit that came from a meeting we recently had. So I just want to sort of say that publicly. All right. Any other questions, comments? Everybody understands, gets it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Change the fee schedule, replacement of lost permit. Resolved that effective January 1st, 2023, the following fees be revised on the Village of Austining fee schedule. Change from 250-30 replacement of lost permit number 10. $10. Change to 250-30 replacement of lost permit to $25.
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Adoption of changes to fee schedule for 2023 other than water and sewer fees. Whereas the village's adopted financial goals and policies requires in part the establishment and periodic evaluation of user charges and fees to help reduce reliance on real property taxes. And whereas at this time, village management has recommended certain changes to the adopted fee schedule for 2023. And now therefore be resolved, the village's fee schedule is hereby amended effective January 1st, 2023 for the following user charges and fees. To a motion?
Second.
Comments? Martha?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of awning permit for 147 Main Street Properties LLC, 147 Main Street Richie's Kitchen. Resolved that pursuant to the Village of Austin Code Section 229-5, the Village of Austin Board of Trustees approves the application by 147 Main Street Properties LLC on behalf of Richie's Kitchen, 89.19-4-35.1, for the installation of an awning in accord with the application received by the Village of Austin Planning Department Historic Preservation Commission on November 17, 2022. And be further resolved that upon payment of all fees, all necessary permits for the installation of the awning shall be obtained. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments? I think we all got the write-up on it. I'm glad somebody's moving. I'm glad there's a business. Dana and I are planning to, as soon as they open up, like, have our first coffee clutch there, right, Dana?
Absolutely.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they're gonna have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting for executive session for matters of real property.
So moved. Second. Third.
Legal and personnel.
Yes, but if the rules do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So why is it that we've done both for the exec session, or it's just?
The exec is on, the exec is on real property. You don't have to actually notice the advice of council.
Okay, got it. All right, I think this concludes. Oh my God, this concludes our meeting for tonight. I thank everybody. I congratulate, I'm going to call him Sergeant Benjamin, my dad's name. Great name. And I appreciate everybody's time. I have to give a shout out again for the budget. The budget drives our initiatives for the upcoming year. They'll keep everybody in place. All right. Everything they said they were going to do, expect it done this time next year to have that conversation. Also, the elected officials, just as a public notification, will be, as always in our village is a community event out of the swearing in of public officials. I'll be at the community center on January 1st at noon. All are invited. Am I allowed to talk about that? Is that like a personnel? Did you want to say something about your move, or is that not official or unofficial? Or?
It's kind of unofficial, official as of yet, because
So
we're still
don't do it.
waiting
It's a
back.
public meeting, we're on a microphone, so I'll wait for another time, maybe next week.
Yeah, hopefully, we're just waiting for the election results. That's all we're waiting for.
Okay, so when that happens, when that happens, I'm not here next week. I was gonna say something in the beginning, I hesitated, I was sort of, please let the deputy mayor know, because we would like to thank properly and to announce it. So just please don't assume we know that when this stuff comes, because it doesn't affect the village directly. But when it becomes official, because this is all being recorded, then we'll discuss. So we thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, 9:20, thank you, everyone. It's one of the shorter end of year sort of budget meetings. Usually we go on and on and on about the budget. We're done. We'll see everybody next Wednesday again.
Thank you, Martha.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, Dale.